Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to make the turban style crochet headband. You can find a written pattern for this headband on my blog if you would prefer a written pattern. Otherwise, if you would like to follow along with me in this video, just keep watching. So today I'm going to be using an 8-ply acrylic yarn with a 5mm crochet hook. Now I do want this headband to be quite chunky, so what I'm going to be doing is to be using a double strand of this 8-ply yarn, which means I will be using the yarn from the outside of the ball and as well as the inside of the ball. Now, if you have two separate balls of 8-ply, you can of course use those. Otherwise, you could use a chunky yarn. I'd probably recommend a 12-ply for this headband. But I'm just going to go ahead and use the same ball of yarn because I don't have a ball of chunky yarn lying around. Okay, so I've pulled one end of my yarn. This is the one coming from the outside of the ball, and then I've also pulled out the center of my ball. It looks a little bit of a mess, but that's okay. It will just sort itself out as we go on. All right, so I'm joining the two ends together like this, and then I'm just going to pretend that this is just one strand of yarn. So it works exactly the same. It just makes it a little bit chunkier, that's all. All right, so I'm going to start off with a slip knot, and then I'm going to chain 60. $56, $57, $58, $59, $60. So here we have a chain of 60. Now you can adjust this depending on the size of your head. This is just the size I use for an adult. Now keep in mind that it will stretch a bit. So you don't want to make it too big that it's just going to fall off, but then you don't want it to be too tight that it's going to be cutting off their circulation. So just measure it. You can always just chain up as many as you think you might need and then measure it around your head or the person's head that you're making it for. Just keep in mind that it does need to be quite firm because it will stretch. Okay. All right, now to get started, I'm going to work this as one piece, so it won't need to be sewn together at the end. It will just be crocheted all together around in circles like that. Now to do that, we're just going to straighten out our chains and make sure they're all flat, and then I'm going to bring this end across, and then we're just going to slip stitch to join that together. Okay, so slip stitch like so. So now you'll notice that it's all joined and it is one circle, one piece. All right, now to get started on the first round, we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then we're going to be working in this direction. So we're going to do the first round in half double crochet. So you just want to half double crochet all the way around right up until you get back to this chain 2 here, and then I will meet you at the end. Alrighty, so I am just going to start with my half double crochet round, and you're just going to be inserting your hook into that chain there, if you can see that. So I'll show you the first few. So just insert your hook, half double crochet, remembering that you chained 60, so there should be 60 stitches once we're done, because we didn't skip any. Alright, so just half double crocheting all the way around, and I'll meet you back here once we get back to that chain 2 at the very beginning. Okay, so I'm back here at the end of the round. I'm just going to complete my last 2 half double crochet. 1 and 2. Now, I do recommend just going back and just counting your stitches and making sure you have enough before we move on to the next round. So once you've done that, I have just gone and counted my stitches, and I do still have 60, which is great. And I will just let you all know as well that that first chain 2 will count as a stitch. So make sure when you're counting your stitches, you do include that first chain 2 as your very first stitch. Alrighty, so now I have finished my 60 half double crochet. Now I'm going to now join it to this round so we can then move on to the second round. So I'm just going to insert my hook into the top of that chain 2 that we did right at the beginning, like so, and then I'm just going to slip stitch it together. So it should look something like that. And then once we've done that, we're going to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. And this is because our next 4 rounds are going to be in the double crochet. So we did just do a round of half double crochet, but the next 4 are going to be in double crochet. So once we've chained 3, we're going to continue just as we did in the last row, but this time we're going to be doing a whole row of double crochet. So I'll show you the first few and then I'll just meet you back at the end. Now, if you don't know how to do the half double crochet or the double crochet even, there are tutorials on my channel, so I will leave the link above for these stitches. Alright, so we're just going to continue with the double crochet all the way around, right up until we get back to this chain 3 at the beginning. Then to start your new round, it's going to be exactly the same as what we did with the half double crochet round, just inserting your hook into the top chain, chaining 3, and then beginning your next round. And I'll meet you back here after a total of 4 rounds. Okay, so I've just finished the 4th round of double crochet. I'm just going to complete the last one of the last round. And then I'm going to slip stitch into the 3rd chain that we did at the beginning. So 1, 2, 3. So you should now have 1 row of half double crochet and then 4 rows of double crochet. So 5 rows altogether. We are going to do 1 more round, I should say. 1 more round, and it will be in the half double crochet just to finish it off so it's even with the other side. So I'm going to chain 2, and then we're just going to complete the last round in half double crochet. So I'll meet you back at the end. Okay, so I'm back here at the end of our final round, which is the round of half double crochet. I'll just go ahead now and finish off my final stitch. Now to finish it off, we're just going to slip stitch into the 2nd chain that we did at the beginning. So 1, 2. Slip stitch. And that is done and ready to be finished off. So what I'm going to do is leave probably maybe 3 or 4 inches of tail. I'm going to cut that with my scissors. And then I'm just going to pull that through. Now, I always like to secure it off just by doing a little knot at the top here, just by using my crochet hook, and I pull it through like that and then just tie it off like that, just to make sure it's nice and secure. And then I'll turn it around and you'll see the tail here that is from the beginning. I'm going to do the same with that. So I'm just going to secure it off down here. Pull through. Okay, so that's nice and tight. That's not going to go anywhere. Now these tails will now just need to be sewn in somewhere around this area. Don't worry if it's not the neatest that you've ever sewn in your ends, they will be hidden. So don't stress too much. I've just got my darning needle here, so I'm just going to go ahead now and sew in these ends. Okay, so I've sewn in my ends, I've trimmed them off so it looks fairly neat. Now what I'm going to do is just put that to the side for a moment. I'm going to then take my yarn and I'm going to cut about, I'd like to say maybe 15 to 20 inches worth. Like so. I like to do it double-stranded. You don't have to. You can do it single-stranded, or you can just use your chunky yarn that you've been using for your headband. Now, just lay that there. Now, take your headband. Now, you want to get it where that seam is. So we're going to hide that seam so it will look nice and neat. So just find your seam where you've been joining your rounds and where you just sewed in your ends. Now I'm going to fold one end in, just like that. Then I'm going to do the same on the other end. And then push the center in just like that. It should look something like this when you hold it together. Now I'm going to take my yarn that I've just cut. This is a little bit fiddly, so just take your time. Or get someone to help you. Now I'm just going to tie this around there. I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I use my mouth to help. But I'll try not to, just to show you guys. So we're gonna tie that up just like that, nice and tight. And do a double knot just to make sure it's nice and secure. Just like that. So it should look something like this. And now what we're going to do, you want to use this later on, so don't wind this around and hide it just yet. We're going to use this part later on to secure it. So just leave that out to the side so you can still see it. Just like that. Now we're going to take this long end and we're going to wrap it around the center. Now this gives us our little knot. And it holds it all together. So we're just going to wrap it around like this. Try and pull it nice and tight. Just keep that end, remember, to the side. We don't want to hide that yet because we will use it to help us secure at the end. All right, so now we've got our little knot there. Now, obviously, depending on how much yarn you leave to wind around will depend on how big this knot section is. So if you do want it to be a little bit bigger, that's fine. Just leave a bigger end and just wind more yarn around the center. All right, so now we're just going to flip it over. Now, remember this end that I told you to leave out at the beginning. We're going to grab both of these and now tie them together to secure that knot in place. Just like that. And then I'm going to do it again just to make sure it's extra secure. Double knot. Just like that. So that's nice and secure now. Now I'm going to take my darning needle and I'm going to grab one side of this. And I'm going to hide it under this knot section at the back. So we're just going to insert the needle through there. Just like that. Pull it through. It might be a little bit tricky because it is quite tight, but that's okay, you'll get there. Now I'm going to go back through again. Now you don't want to pull it back through, so I always just leave a little bit of yarn there that this is going to go over, so I know that it's not going to come back out because we want it to stay in there and be hidden. Pull it nice and tight, and I'll just go in one more time with that end. Alright, so that's all sewn in. So now I'm just going to grab my scissors and just trim that edge off. And now we're going to do the exact same with that other end. So just hiding it in under this knot section. Try and hide it at the back as well. It's always best. ends. I'm just going to turn it inside out just so it's a little bit easier. That end's quite short, so I'm just going to go back in one more time. Pull it nice and tight. And again, just take your scissors, trim that end off. And now we are done. There you have your turban style crochet chunky headband, perfect in time for winter. All right, beautiful. All done. Now, if you've got any questions, please feel free to post in the comments below and I will try my very best to help you. If not, if you've completed your headband and you're happy, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up and feel free to subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see any future videos. Thanks guys, bye.